Hi, guys, and welcome to Tickers from the Limitless podcast. On this series, we review listed companies on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. I'm Matthew.
And I'm Thaon.
And today we'll be talking about Jamaican Teas, ticker as JamT. But before we get into the video, we would love if you guys would subscribe if you're watching on YouTube or follow us on your podcasting platform of choice. It really means a lot to us. And without further ado, let's get into it. Let's get into it. How are you? What do you think of JamT thoughts before we go in?
I'm kind of wondering how we've never done a tickers on JamT. Kind of interesting. Well, I don't know about you, but we've had a lot of, me personally, I've had a lot of history with this company in terms of trading it and just understanding it. I think it's one of the first companies I've bought, and it's now not the same company as it was like 5 years ago. And maybe just off the name, you wouldn't even know what the company does for money. Like you hear teas, like TEA, like sipping tea, but that's not the only thing they do. So I'm excited to go into it a bit deeper. And for everybody else listening, hope you guys get some value from this episode.
Yeah, fair. When I first heard about them, I
thought they're a t-shirt company though.
No. But when I heard about the brands, I was like, oh wait, because it's like when I looked up, I think the brands, I was like, wait, those teas are like in my cupboard or something, or I've seen
like
them in a cupboard.
Yeah.
Or the Caribbean Dreams, yeah.
Or Caribbean Dreams, yeah. So you kind of like, whoa, a big company, this one.
Yeah. Some of my family members really like tea, so yeah.
All right, well, let's go.
Yep. So let's go. So JamT's, Jamaica Teas. We will do our usual tickers format. How do they make money? What's going around the company, going on around the company? What are some possible futures? Who owns it? And what is the market sentiment like? So in terms of money, as you said, if you just hear JamT, it's like you may, as you said, either think a t-shirt or tea as in tea bags. So, but they are more than just a manufacturing company. So they do make stuff, they do distribute stuff, and a lot of them are teas. But they do, some stuff even outside of teas. They have different brands because once again, it's like not like their brands are said, oh, this is the JamT brand of thing. It's like, oh, this is the, as you said, Tetley brand, or this is the Caribbean Dreams brand. So you may know Jamaica Teas products, or you likely, as a Jamaican, you likely do know some of their products. It's just maybe you never thought about it that way. But apart from that, one of the big ways that they actually make money at times are stocks. So they actually have a stock portfolio that I guess
they make money. We'll go
I
into
think
it.
they're profitable now. The last year, I think they're profitable.
Has gone up.
And also real estate. And we'll speak more about the real estate later on, but they're not just a manufacturing company. I think that's a key thing. They export, the majority of the revenues actually comes from exports. I saw somewhere that was saying 64% of their revenues comes from exports. So they're big in like the US, Barbados, Guyana, so essentially the Caribbean. But a big part of that market is the US, and they're really big in like New York, Florida, and Texas. And as I said, the rest of it is domestic in Jamaica. They also have a retail division, a supermarket called Shopper's Delight. It's on, Chancery Street? I don't know if you've ever been to that supermarket.
And I've passed it. I know where it is.
You passed it?
Yeah.
And they actually have like some...
Do they own the property across? Like is it the parking lot across the road from it or something like that? I don't remember.
I didn't look it up on maps. I'm not sure.
Okay, that's fine. It's a small portion of their revenues anyway.
Yeah, and then they also, have some factories. They make these different teas and such. I could probably pull up on their website. It's always good to like check the company's website. I'm sure that they have some of their different brands and products. I'm just gonna probably show some of them. So let's see. So Caribbean Dreams. They have their different teas. They do coconut milk. They do sorrel, coconut milk powder. Different teas, ginger lemon. What's this? A detox tea, lemongrass. Mention the
Yeah, I could use
Tetley with
some
all of
tea right
these.
now.
I used to love mint tea.
Mm-hmm.
I
I
don't
rate
know which type
chamomile
of.
tea and green tea.
Okay,
Had
nice,
black tea
nice, nice.
yesterday too. I've been
Black
starting to
tea.
drink tea a lot more recently, but it's just because I'm sick right now. I'm not a true
Mm,
tea drinker. I'm sorry for everybody that might have my
mm,
Jamaican card revoked, but
mm-hmm,
I never grew up drinking tea. Like my parents would drink tea. I remember
mm-hmm,
growing up drinking like Lasco and Milo and stuff like that, but not like tea. I didn't start
mm-hmm.
liking tea until probably med school. I used to have tea almost every day in med school, and now I just no longer drink tea, which is weird.
Wait, so why did you start drinking more tea in med school?
I don't know. I had a ritual in the evenings. I would drink tea, like when I
A
come home from.
ritual.
Yeah, like it's something that kind of just not even. I don't even know what it was. I think somebody first gave me tea on Hall because I used to live on Hall on Irvin. I
Was
think it
it
was on
that
Irvin.
Caribbean Dreams tea?
It was Tetley tea. It was definitely Tetley tea, and
Okay.
I used to drink it before bed, but then I started drinking it when I came home from on Hall. So I remember drinking chamomile tea to try and help me sleep. Um,
Oh,
which
so that it's
used
known to it's sleep?
helps me sleep. Helps me sleep.
You'd use sugar?
No, actually, I stopped. My friend on the hall, Ariane used to make her tea without sugar, and then I'm like, yo, why am I using sugar? And sometimes I used to go for dim sum, and at dim sum they don't have sugar in the tea, and I started to get used to that flavor. I was just like, it's not bad. Like you get the true
Mm-hmm.
essence of what the tea tastes like. Some people like black tea. To me, I can't drink black tea without a little bit of sugar or maybe some condensed milk. But more
Mm-hmm.
and Earl Grey. Earl Grey is a bit bitter too. But
Mm-hmm.
most other teas, yeah, don't need sugar for them. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I like Caribbean Dreams brand. I'm not gonna lie, they have a wide ass like that sorrel tea. Have you had that sorrel tea?
Mm-mm.
You should try it. That sorrel tea is actually really good. And right now, because I'm sick, I could use some tea still. Should I
Mm.
go and make some right
That's
after this?
interesting. I mean, I like sorrel, but sorrel tea.
Nah, actually, it slaps. Definitely slaps.
Mm.
Yeah,
Okay, the more you know.
yeah. But it's not just
Yeah, so
tea.
after that,
It's not just tea. They have like soup mixes and stuff like that,
yeah, I'm trying to see
Yeah.
if I show it on the website. Oh, let's see, local distribution. Let's say who distributes
Big
for
with
them.
Cinco. Who used to
Mm.
distribute for them before? Because Cinco started distributing for JamT maybe a couple of years ago. But it
I
wasn't
think it was
no
late.
Cinco before.
Was it late 2023?
I don't remember
Like
exactly the date.
Q4, Q3, Q4.
It was recently. It's like maybe 2 years ago. But it wasn't
Mm.
Cinco distributed for them before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not sure who used to do it.
hmm
Not sure, not sure.
Yeah.
I'm trying to actually look in their annual report if they showed. It's interesting. I
Some
don't.
other products.
Yeah, could I do the soup? But
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they
yeah,
do
but
like
essentially they do a lot of that, I guess. And then the soups and the teas are in the packet soups are in the same aisle as the teas in supermarkets.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not
Mm.
sure.
Yeah, 'cause I was just thinking if most of the stuff. Yo, wow! I actually took Wow, hold on. I wonder if I can show this. I took a video in the supermarket. I was looking in the aisle. I think I can share it. Let me see. I was trying to look at some of the different. I think they're different competitors. I think Salada, Salada listed company, Salada Foods, they have they do some teas also, and then Grace I think also has some brands. And then there's going to be like, even, I guess, more international brands and such too. So it's not just even local companies that technically, but as we said, like most of the revenues is really supposed to, 60% is outside of Jamaica. But I don't want to get, probably shouldn't get too sidetracked. But essentially, I always said manufacture, distribute the teas and whatnot. And what else about them?
They own Jamaica Blue, spring water.
JamTs?
Yeah,
Where is it at?
their website. And so who we are and then about us. But they actually state the brand's product range has expanded to include instant mixes, a range of pantry items such as soup mixes, and a spring water, Jamaica Blue.
Interesting. You like it?
Yeah. I've had Jamaica Blue. Yeah, I actually do like it, which is odd. I literally picked them out and I was just like, I feel like we have Jamaica Blue water in the
Oh, I
campus,
see.
Catalyst campus, the co-working space.
Oh, so
Yeah,
as in you.
I didn't even
So why
realize
do you
that.
think you guys have that specific one?
No idea. I have no idea.
Hmm.
But it tastes good. That's all I'll say. Like you know how you can taste the minerals in water? Like
Mm-hmm.
Wisynco's water.
Sure,
You don't
sure.
really taste that in this. Well, true water drinkers know. If you're a
Mm-hmm.
true water drinker, let me know in the comments because we know, but you don't really have that kind of altered
Mm-hmm.
taste in it. So I like that. I like the fact that you don't have those heavy mineral taste
Mm-hmm.
because water, you can taste the difference in different waters.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how one of the ways they make money, manufacturing side. Then they also make money from stocks. So they have a listed stock portfolio. They call it QWI. I think they're listed, it was either late 2019 or early 2020, just
Mhm.
pre-COVID. The stock portfolio invests both on the Jamaica Stock Exchange and the US
And in the
market.
US.
And mostly it's JSE stocks. So I need to probably check the overall. It's mostly Jamaican stocks, but they do have some US stocks and some of the fan favorites like the Nvidias, Google, or Alphabet.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so they actually buy and sell stocks through that company. And so, when that company does well, the portfolio does well. So that
Mm-hmm.
company bought the stock at 10, it went to 20. It's a large percentage of their portfolio. They can report that as profit. But that also goes the opposite way. So if the portfolio doesn't do well, they can lose money or they can report a loss in profit. So
And they
it's
listed
quite a.
at that tricky time, as you said, right before COVID. So when
Mm-hmm,
the entire market was down, their fund was also down. So they
mm-hmm.
did, they posted all heavy losses, heavy losses during COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I did I did a little graphic here to show I think I was trying to work out the percentage holdings. So some of the stocks, I guess it makes sense. So some of these, I guess we would have done tickers on. So
Mm-hmm.
there is,
Carib
see if I can make
Cement.
this larger. Yeah, so there's the top holding, Access Financial, that's like 10%. I mean, we probably can talk about Access later on, but Carib Cement, we did our tickers on that, so I don't have to go much into that. Scotia, we did our tickers. Dolphin Cove, we did our tickers. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Look how lucky people are. CPJ, we
Mm-hmm.
did our tickers. Last M, we did one. Transjam, we did one. Royalers, we
Broilers.
did one. China,
Gina.
damn. Look at
Wow.
them go. Damn. Damn, damn. So if we
SOS.
do, yeah, just SOS.
It's
Yeah.
literally just SOS we haven't done one on
Out of the
for the
top. Well,
Jamaican companies.
these are the top. These are the ones these are their top holdings. There are other companies that I guess you could check after. I think
Mm-hmm.
that one like some Creamy, Lumbo, and those are decent. It's just these are the top ones. I guess they had said. Interesting. But yeah, that's their stock portfolio. So technically, say there was a stock that, Access Financial, it's trading at, what price is it? What price is Access at today?
Boy.
Is it 20? Access Financial. Access Financial is at $16.36. So call that $16 and say, you thought that Access, which is trading at just easy, call it $20. We think, I thought it could be a $200 stock. So, and it could go to 200 in a year or 5 years. And then I could just 10x that significant part of my portfolio, 10%. And you could say, okay, when people see that reported by Jamaican Teas is reporting stronger profit and such, maybe, that could lead to people maybe more wanting the shares in JamTs. So you could essentially track the portfolio and say, okay, this holding is going up, this holding is going down. Do I think, and I guess the thing is like, it's a lot of different companies, so you'd have to factor in, okay, how big is the company, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, that's even something to look at. That's why it's important to understand how they make their money. So they make money from stocks too. So when the stocks they own go up, can make a lot of money. When the stocks they own go down, they can lose a lot of money.
Yeah, and you see it in the annual reports or the quarterly reports.
Yeah, I think I did have some stuff to show after, to like some numbers, and then also the real estate. Depending on who you're asking, maybe that's not the best. They didn't have the best of luck. They have developed different properties that I think they generally try to go for like lower pricing stuff. They say like low income or lower end, and I've seen them do like apartments, studios. I've seen them do some stuff in Kingston. I think they did something. Was it in St. Thomas
St.
or
Thomas?
it was St. Catherine or something? Yeah.
I think the company that they operate under is My Food and Sons.
Yeah, My Food and Sons. That's their real estate arm. But as we said, well, we'll talk about it later. They're actually working on getting out of the real estate business that they haven't really, that I guess I don't think they haven't really had a good track record. Yeah, so that's, some of the stuff. So it's really manufacturing, distribution, stocks, real estate, but then real estate is going to get cut over the next few years. So it'll be manufacturing and stocks. And in terms of what's going around the company, we mentioned some competitors. I'd pull up some tea brands. So there's Grace has their own tea. Hilo has their own tea. Grace owns Hilo. Kendall is a big one. Lipton is a big one. Red Rose. There's a lot of different teas. If you go to the supermarket, you guys can see. And then Caribbean Dreams, which is also Jamaican teas. And listed other companies that I think would be interesting to compare, but like Salada, because they're both manufacturing and distribution. Salada is more coffee. JamT. Salada does some teas. JamT is more into the teas market. Things that I think is important to look on, their manufacturing companies. So, and they import some of their raw materials. So if they have issues with some of their
a lot of the
stuff
tea
they
is
need
made across the world, in like Thailand, I think, and some other areas. I think a lot of the tea is actually made. It's not just locally produced. So yeah.
So if they can't get the stuff they need to make the tea, then that's gonna be an issue. So if there's stuff about your shortages of, I mean, they even speak about it sometimes in the reports, like, hey, we're having issues. Because you say you have someone who wants to buy your new product, your tea, and you need to make the tea, but you don't have the thing that you need to make it. You can't sell them. They may say, okay, I'm not going to buy your product. I'll just buy it from, say, Salada or some Grace or Lipton or whatever, And one of the things that you did actually mention about, and I was wondering if this maybe happened, especially in the early days of the COVID pandemic, where because people were starting to be more health conscious, they were starting to try to eat healthier. Were they like consuming more teas? Did that, cause an uptick in the demand of tea? So I wonder if, maybe Jamaican teas could have, maybe they benefited from that. If that, was, I guess, a considerable enough number. And also even things like interest rates to meds, because, the general thing is that interest rates are low depending on other factors. It's like, okay, money is cheap. It makes people more likely to buy, different assets, whether real estate, stocks, bonds, because they can do it with like cheaper loans. So if interest rates, were to trend down and stay down for a good period, it could lead to a general increase in some of those stocks that, QWI owns if they pick the right stock. Yeah, they just have to pick the right stock. But yeah. And even stuff in like the future, they have spoken about spinning off their manufacturing arm. So essentially, like now you buy JamTs, you get manufacturing, stocks, real estate. So what if maybe say there was a different scenario where over the last 10 years, the stocks have been doing horrible and the real estate has been doing horrible, but the manufacturing business was growing significantly. It's
Yeah.
almost like the losses on those other divisions could make it that JamT doesn't even actually report a profit. But if it was JamT by itself and didn't have to think about stocks about this, it could make really good stuff and it could, lead to an increase in the share price. Shareholders are happy. So they are trying to like restructure the company. They say, okay, instead of suppose I'm someone who just wants to buy a manufacturing distribution company.
Mm-hmm.
I know that industry better. I know it well, blah, blah, blah. I could buy into what they call Caribbean Dreams. So Caribbean Dreams would be the manufacturing arm of JamT, and you could own only that. So you don't have to own QWI, the real estate, all of that stuff. You could only own a manufacturing distribution company. You could buy it on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. And they've been talking about this from like 2021. They were saying that like they would use it to the money that they would raise, they would like possibly buy some companies, would do some upgrades in the business, the manufacturing arms. They had set different timelines. Each timeline kept getting pushed back. And, depending on how they structure that, they could give shareholders of Jamaican Teas a benefit. And then depending on how that is, as I said, like that could be something that could be good for the stock price of JamTs or not.
Mm-hmm.
And they have spoken about how much they want to raise. They said like $1 billion or at least $1 billion. So it's not a small raise.
So it's not a junior
And
market stock?
yeah, and they said they want to do main market. And I was trying to do some maths. I hope my math was right on like what, because they said they wanted to spin off 20 to 30%.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on the price, like how much they want to come to market at. Like they probably would want to do a $1 price. It sounds nice. And they probably come at like 20 times earning, 20 times PE. So that would be them valuing the company at like 3 billion. So they say, okay, if you want to sell 20%, and then the 20% is the minimum amount that you could sell to be listed.
Mm-hmm.
That would value the 20%. I hope I'm explaining this right. The 20% would be worth just about 600 mil. But remember, they said that they want to raise $1 billion. So it's like, if they come at that valuation, they'd have to sell 40% of the business, or just under 40%.
Like a 35.
Yeah, cause I think one of the points I was trying to get to is that like the when you like split out the business,
Mm-hmm.
you say, okay, how has the stock portfolio been doing? The manufacturing, real estate. We mentioned real estate has not really been doing well for them. They're exiting real estate. They said they're literally not doing it anymore. They kept making losses. They have some properties that they finished probably almost 2 years ago, and they are selling them very, very slowly. Up to the most recent report, I think they've sold half of them. And I think they
Mm.
started, when was it they started? I think it was maybe 2023. It went on the market or something. Yeah, late 2023. So a year later, out of the 30, they only sold 8. And the thing is, they had even pre-sold some of them. So it's not even that many they've sold. And then another
Mm-hmm.
year later, it's reached 15. So they still have half of the properties they're selling, and they're selling them at cost. And I think they said that they initially put like probably 800 mil into it. So I was like, wow, like imagine the 800 mil that you spent, you could have bought stocks, you could have bought new factories, all that kind of stuff, which kind
Mm-hmm.
of shows you that, hey, okay, diversification is good sometimes, but sometimes you might diversify, say, oh, I wanted real estate because that will we can do that, and that will build value, and we can make profits on that. And they probably, I think they did in the past, maybe, but yeah, that shows you also the negative side. Sometimes if you're not picking the right thing, you get unlucky. You can also,
Yeah, it can hurt you. It can hurt the
yeah.
business.
So
It's
think about that.
JamT is a holding company. Like if you're spreading yourself into stocks, real estate, and manufacturing, either one of them can have a large impact on the business.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that,
Belvedere is where real is Red Hills, no?
yeah. I actually found I don't know if this is a property. It looks like it could be. It was on, this website called Keys.
Yeah, no keys.
Yeah.
Get keys or
So
something like that.
I'm showing a picture. What do you think of this? If it's the one I'm thinking, Belvedere Kingston 19, and it's I think this is a studio. It looked decent to me. I mean, the only thing I guess is I don't know what
30
I'd have to
mil.
probably look at I'd have to look in like the location and how much. Cause this is a 600 square foot, one bathroom, super studio.
Well, I'd have to say what Super Studio actually looks like, because paying almost
Yeah,
200 grand for a mortgage for a studio. I mean, that's just the cost of things these days, but I want to cry the fact that I'm not rich yet.
yeah. So yeah, but essentially that money, and as I said, if they keep at this rate and they're selling at a lot, they're selling at cost, which is basically selling at a small, selling at a loss.
Mm-hmm.
They could still be selling properties for the next maybe year, 2 years, 3 years. I don't know
Yeah.
if it's gonna. You think it's gonna speed up as
I
it
don't know. The
gets
economy has been
to?
slowing down and people have been pushing outwards like recession and so on. So
Mm,
I don't see people buying houses like that in a recession.
mm,
So I'm not sure.
Imagine them holding this for like the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Real estate
But
tough, man.
yeah,
There's a
so
reason our channel is not a real estate channel.
yeah, I was saying that when I think I tried to break down the money that they make from like the other stuff, the manufacturing profit hasn't really, grown significantly. I mean, their best year was September 2021, 230 million profit. Next year was 134 mil. Next year, 130 mil. The most recent financial year up to September 2024, they did 147 mil. So the profits have actually been, declining, like a somewhat steady decline over the last few years. And then once again, think about that. That those years, that could have been, you could have put 800 mil. Like, say there was an issue that they're facing. They're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, we're having this. I wish I got this machine or this. It could solve this issue. You could have put some of that money towards that. So, or it could have gone the other way. I mean, they could have put more money and they could have even done worse. Who knows? But yeah, I think I'm not really sure if they'll be able to. I don't know. I guess it depends. If I don't know if they'll really be able to raise that amount of money at the current level of business. Like, I guess it once again depends what you're gonna do with the money and like how you market it and such. I
Yeah.
don't know if it's like how much of the company they really want to give up. Um,
We don't even know when this may happen because right now,
uh-huh,
I mean, let's say they do what they say they're going to do, meaning it's
mm-hmm,
20 to 30%. So let's say it's about 30% of the company that you're offering up to the general public.
mm-hmm.
Um, oh wow, you've already done the calculations at $1.
Bro, this
So
was at 20 times earnings.
is that 20 times earnings? So how
Yeah,
much money is
that's
that?
like the junior
800?
market average. So just
That's
on a
about
900, yeah.
$900 million. I don't know. I think the
Well, I guess
market is
after
too
fees.
soft.
Mm.
I think the market's, yeah, either way, even after fees, the market's pretty soft right now.
Mm.
to accept something like this? You'd have to
I
come
think
at a
it's.
much
I would
better
say it's at the
valuation.
price. It's at the price they want to give it at. So if they
Yeah.
were selling a huge, they were selling. I think they'll want to keep control of the company, so they'll want to own like 50, over 50%.
Mm-hmm.
I was even, oh, just me for minutes. Like, you don't think even something like how we sync out, wonder if we sync out buying or Wisynco's
Likely.
parent company? Because if you said that Wisynco wasn't the distributor, where Wisynco became their distributor in
Mm-hmm.
Jamaica, what, late 2023, and then
Yeah.
I think Wisynco had was it a parent company bought into like Honeybun or something recently? That's a tangent. I think so.
As in Wisynco buying into Honeybun?
I think the parent company of Wisynco bought into Honeybun, like a top 10
Mm,
stake. Or yeah, Wisynco Group
the group.
Caribbean. They bought in. Yeah,
Oh,
that's just a random.
got
When did they
Cows.
buy?
I didn't even realize Cows was in top 10 of Honeybun.
Yeah, so they entered the June. Nice. Entered June 2024. But
Mm,
yeah. So I think my thing is the up. I keep checking the timelines. They said at their AGM their AGM 2024, they said they were looking to
summer again.
2025.
Yeah.
I never said summer, but they said 2025.
Mm-hmm.
So, because they mentioned the kind of the same thing that you're saying in terms of like the market, essentially they want the sentiment of the market to be a lot, I guess, more bullish, so that they buy up, they give them a like a higher valuation or a higher
Mm-hmm.
price and more money. Well, I hmm. So I don't know if it would be, as you said, like you're judging sentiment of market. Transjam offer for sale, that's government still, but
Yeah, and they have heavy backing.
and then Atlantic, who has heavy backing? You're saying
Transjam.
Transjam? Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like
And then
funds want
Atlantic,
it, pensions want it. I don't see funds and pensions wanting this.
yeah. Well, hmm,
Yeah,
we'll
it could
see.
be tea, it could be Jamaican tea, like a Marlboro,
If
I
it
bet.
happened this year, I'd expect probably later, like late 25, 2025, or maybe I'd say probably maybe early 2026. I feel like they need to probably perform a bit better for people to kind of view it, because like
It's either
people,
that or you come in at a very, like a discount, like a proper
mm,
discount to
mm-hmm,
market, because it can't be 20 times earnings, from my
mm-hmm,
understanding, because I don't see any broker that would put out a positive review on something like this. And then, yeah, you're
mm-hmm,
right. You'd have to tell me what you do with the money. Like, if you get my money, you must be doing something nice. Because look at,
mm-hmm,
as you said, you listed Transjam, you listed Atlantic, right?
mm-hmm,
You're talking about those two companies and how those IPOs have performed. We don't even see them on the market yet. Sorry, not IPOs, but you get me. Transjam offer for sale.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, IPO is just easy for call. But look at Atlantic.
IPO, APO.
If you look at Atlantic, it didn't really do that. Like, you can tell the demand wasn't really there for Atlantic, because you
Mm-hmm.
get up to 100,000, and then what?
What
How
did you
much
use
percent?
to say that?
What in terms of the demand?
Yeah.
The allotment?
Oh,
Like,
okay. No.
yeah, you're just looking at the allotment. Like, that's a good judge of demand. And look,
Mm-hmm.
as you see, general public. So the pool was oversubscribed, which is great. Yes, applicants will be allotted the first 100,000 shares. When last you see an IPO give you 100,000 shares, and 64% of the balance of the amount applied for. We've seen IPOs where you can barely get 10%, and they cap it at 10,000 shares. So,
Mm-hmm.
and that tells you the level of demand that's there. So when you say 100,000 at 60%,
So,
and Atlantic wasn't even that bad of an offer. I mean, it wasn't great, and we know the sentiment around it, but it
mm-hmm.
wasn't a terrible offer. And so, it's just, yeah.
Yeah, let me. I was just thinking of explaining what you're saying about with the basis of allotment. So if someone put in $1 million, there are big money popping, and you said they'd get 100,000 units of the 1 million, and then they get 64% of the value. 0.6. So, well, actually, I should probably do that here. So essentially, you could get, oh wow, you get 74. Yeah, you'd end up getting 74% or 75% of what you wanted then.
Depending on how much you put in.
Yeah, I was just wondering if I could what happens when I change the value? I should probably one
That'll be
sec.
70% if you put in what, like $1 million?
Mm-hmm. I'm just thinking if I could do it for even other values then. So the big money person that does 10, how much? So they'd get 65%. Or oops.
That's actually a lot.
So what you're saying that you think people didn't really love it?
Yeah. Like from that, you can tell people didn't really love it.
They
And
weren't screaming to go out and buy the shares and
the thing is, it would have been more significant. Like it would have been, the demand would have been, it's not as bad. It's not so bad, right? Because, they said it was oversubscribed. But imagine, only 100 mil is for the general public in that offer. You realize that too. So if it's $100 million that they're going for the general public, and this is the demand for that small amount, then yeah, you can tell it didn't really do as well. So then when you think about if JamT were to do something like that, it's gonna be difficult in this particular climate, like in this market right now. It's gonna be very difficult. Because look at something like, if you type in the basis of allotment for maybe like dollar or anything else that listed recently, well, maybe not anything else, but look at something like dollar financial basis of allotment. I don't think you could have gotten $100,000 into dollar. Like I don't think the base was $100,000. Oh, you're looking for it. Let me also look for it too. But I'm pretty sure it was like 10K. Yeah.
10,000 units
10,000.
and you got 2.6%.
That's real demand. That's heavy demand. And that was on how much? 500 mil. I think it was $250 million to the general public. So more than double the amount to the general public. And you could only get $10,000 and 2.6%. Whereas in Atlantic now, it's less than half of the money that they're going for the general public. You can get in 100 grand and 60% odd. So that to me it's not just a testament to the market, because every IPO is different. So obviously anything else is different, but you have to know the market you're in, and two, you have to come with something nice. Like your marketing has to be good, the valuation has to be attractive. You have to create demand somehow. And I'm struggling to see how JamT, if they were to do this offer this year, would create that need, that demand for the stock. It's just it's gonna be difficult, man. It's gonna be worse with the current performance of the manufacturing segment. They'd have to do something
kind of stagnating.
Yeah. Like, all right, you could now at that point they'd have to probably revise what they're doing and say, all right, maybe not main market, but junior market with a tax break would also be quite beneficial for the company, because that can immediately increase your profitability. So now you no longer have to pay that 25% tax. And yeah, you're automatically way more profitable. You're gonna use the money to probably, I don't know, maybe have some new products you want to push. Maybe it's a different market.
I asked them, I think at our AGM, maybe if I can find a clip.
That question was from Matthew Preston. He also has a few more questions. We have two on the timeline from Matthew Preston and Terence Osborne. Multiple timelines have been missed for the spin-off of CDFL. When will this happen? What is preventing the company from moving forward with this?
The question has to do with the timeline for the spin-off?
Correct. And
so,
to add to that, do we still have plans for main market listing of Caribbean Dreams Foods given the raise in the share capital limit for the junior market?
Well, let me say the timeline for the listing, we would need to have a track record that we can say, when we are ready to go, here is the results for the past year for this company standing on its own and be able to give the confidence to the investors about what to expect. So I expect sometime we will be looking at this for 2025. The question about, what was the other question, Jonathan?
Main market.
Yeah, our idea right now would have its size. It would be probably listed on the main market.
I was like, oh, with the junior market limit increase, do you guys think you would raise 750 million or up to 750 million and then get the company would be on the junior market the first 5 years, no corporate income tax, next 5 years half, and that could, like, you know, that's money that they're saving. That's a huge cost saving that they could do stuff with. But they said that no, I think based on the amount of money. So yeah, that'd be interesting if instead of going main market, they say, okay, let's go junior market first, build out the business, and then eventually we can go main market if we want to raise more.
I wonder why they want to raise $1 billion to Jamaican Teas. Because it will be JamT, the parent company, the listed company currently on the junior market right now. They would be the ones getting the actual cash because they're selling a piece of the business that
I don't think they said it'd be an offer for sale though. I don't think they were offering shares up for sale. They technically could just say, okay, this company, let's create some new shares.
Yeah, but either way, no, the point is who's getting the cash?
That's what I'm saying. It could be the company, Caribbean Dreams. It doesn't have to actually be JamT.
Who owns Caribbean Dreams, though?
The JamT shareholders. So you just, okay, the JamT shareholders own 80%, and then you bring in some new shareholders, and they can buy into 20%. So you just create new shares.
No, but JamT itself, the parent company, it's a wholly owned subsidiary. So even if you create new shares, yeah.
So they could do it where JamT sells some of their shares, or they just create new shares and JamT doesn't sell any of their shares, they just keep them. And they don't get, they limit their dilution that way. Yeah, I don't want, there's a lot of ways it could happen. I mean, there's some good ways, there's some ways where
I don't think they could mess it up.
I don't think they could mess it up, but they technically could.
Yeah, you can definitely mess it up.
And you also even have to factor in what is the price by the time the market even, like, depending on how it happens, by the time the market even, like, say stuff start coming out, this might be time. I realize people, I think, are just waiting on the more information about this spin-off because they've been delayed like a lot of years. People have been waiting, stock has just been dropping, stagnating. So once there's some amount of information where it's like, okay, we have a timeline again, they've actually started doing more of the process. By that time, it's like the price may start moving up in expectation of that being good.
Yeah.
And then I'd even wonder, like, what happens if it's bad or not what everyone was hoping for? What could happen? But I think it will be definitely interesting. I know that they've other things they spoke about, they had like different factories, and what they said was that okay, they bought this bigger factory, had a lot of space, they're going to move operations over into one area so that they can actually be more efficient. I think they did that late 2024, like mid to late 2024. One of the things I guess I was even looking out, remember that AS Bryden bought more shares in CPJ, they now control the company, and then one of the ways of paying for the CPJ shares, they said, okay, you could actually get AS Bryden shares that will create. I was wondering, remember we said that QWI is the stock portfolio of JamTs. I was wondering if QWI actually sold, because interestingly enough, in the quarter 4 last year, October, November, December, QWI actually sold a significant portion, 42% of their holdings.
Yeah.
When did I think the bid was January. So I was wondering if they said, hey, we'd like to sell or convert our shares to like AS Bryden shares. That's something I want to look out for. What could happen with AS Bryden? The other thing I was thinking about, we mentioned Access, right? Access Financial is an interesting one. They are their QWI's heaviest holding. So just like if me and you were to go buy stocks, this is our thing that we have most of our money in. We put our hard-earned money in it.
Yeah.
The stock had a high 2018 or so, 2019 of like $50. It has come down to $16. A large shareholder, Proven, sold their shares. They did an offer for sale, just like I guess what the government of Jamaica is doing. And they said, hey, let's sell some shares at $32. At the time, the shares were trading in like the 40s. So it was a big discount to the market. And actually pulled up some stuff. QWI. So I pulled up the shareholder list. So because the offer happened latest 2019, before the offer, Proven owned a certain percentage, just under 50% of the company. And then if you look into it after the offer, and then, oh wow, there was actually a basis for allotment, a basis of allotment for this. Just like what you're explaining about with the demand. With this offer, you got 1,000 units base, but you got 82% of what you wanted. Well, above the base. So you got quite a lot. So it was still oversubscribed, but you got quite a lot. And when you check the shareholder list, you actually see when QWI bought. So QWI seemed to buy, I think, into the offer for sale. So those shares that Proven said, hey, we're selling at $32.
Yeah.
You can buy it. And QWI said, hey, we're going all in. We're going to spend, how much was this? Was a lot at the time. This was a lot of money. How much is that? That's call it 8.5 million units. And at the time, well, it was at $32. So that's 200, said just under 300 mil Jamaican, just under 2 mil US or so. And as I said, so they bought it back then, and they bought at like 32 or so. It's now 16, so they're down 15%. That's been, so that was 2019, 2020, 2021, 22, 23, 24, 25. Like 50%. And it's been 6 years, it's quite a tough one. One of the things that, like, okay, it's investing, sometimes you're wrong. But one of the things I thought, I was like, okay, if the thesis was, okay, Access is good, is either the thesis changes, okay, the thing I thought was good is no longer good. Okay, if it's no longer good, it's not working out, yeah, I'm just gonna have to sell. Or, okay, it's not as good as I thought it was, but like, it still is good. I could either sell, but I'm like, okay, no, if I still think it could grow up a significant percentage, I'd then buy. But I was tracking it, and they have barely increased their stake since then. I compared the September 2019 top 10 shareholder list to the December 2024 one. In the beginning, they owned 8.4 million units. Now they just own, still 8.4, just a few what's that, like 70,000 or so units more they bought. And it's trading at 50% below the price they bought it at. And so you have literally held on to this loss. And then I think he's the chairman of John Jackson's chairman of CUDA.
Yeah,
I think he's chairman. I don't want to get this wrong. Yeah, John Jackson, chairman, John. So he's chairman of QWI, and he works with I don't know if it's just him or what, but there's a blog, IC Insider. I think it tells you somewhere that it's him, but
IC Insider is hilarious, by the way.
Yeah, but so there's an article that came out. He wrote, or he or they, IC Insider, I should say. IC Insider wrote it. Access first dollar. This is July 15th, 2022. I'll try to link the article. And he was essentially like comparing dollar to Access, and he was saying that Access, he said, okay, I'm going to read this. It says, notably, the stock price, referring to Access's stock price, should increase about 1,000% to more than $250 per share by 2026. He just says, like, that's just said in the article, like, they're saying the stock is going to go up 1,000%. It's going to go from, at the time, July 2022, it was 22.
Yeah, he's a true believer.
So it's going to go from 2022 to 250 by 2026. We're in 2025 now. And then he says for dollar, he's saying profits, he thinks the stock could go up 524% to 1750. But then I'm just like, okay, so
who wrote this? Was it John Jackson?
Well, it's IC Insider.
I
don't know his
Insider.
exact
whoever it is,
yeah.
True believer, not a new believer. Because that's hope.
The question is, if he's affiliated with this, and if they thought that, hey, it's a $250 stock, I mean, you can argue with someone to say yes or no. I was just like, okay, if it's $250, you bought at 32 or around that price, you're down 50%. Why wouldn't you also be buying it at 16 then? Or 15 or whatever price? Like, why have you not been buying? And that's, I was just like, that's what I didn't understand. I'm just like,
IPO money of Caribbean dreams don't reach.
But then you see, this is where a shareholder could say, hey, but damn, that 800 mil in the real estate, what if that was used to like buy stock? Or I mean, they could have bought a bad stock, and then or they could have just they went their way.
So theoretically, they have like they sold half the properties already.
Yeah.
So they already have some. Well, they should be generating some level of cash.
The thing is, I'm not sure if them even saying sold means they got the cash, or if it's just, okay, we signed an agreement, and then it may take like a few months to actually close. I don't know what the
cash flow statements or
So I doubt it is actually exchanged. But yeah, I don't know. I found this interesting because I'm just like, okay, if it's really a $250 stock, why have you not been gobbling it up at 60? I don't know. So I was wondering, like, would they ever exit Access? I know IC Insider also wrote an article about, it was about stock splits. And it was saying like, oh, which junior market stocks should split or something like that. And Access was one of them. So they were saying that, hey, 8 junior market stocks that should split. And this is things like Cargo, Decove, Lasco, Main Event, SOS.
This was before Fosrich split.
I think so. Fosrich was there? Yeah, this was it was in the process.
Yeah, because when you scroll up, that article was what, 2022?
Yeah. So I don't know. I think they think that IC Insider thinks that, Access having a stock split would send it to $250. I'd love that for them, because then once again, QWI, you can then look at that stock and be like, wait, if this stock is flying, QWI's portfolio is growing and JamT's portfolio is going, so maybe I could buy JamT, maybe I could buy QWI. But yeah, I want to see if they're going to exit it, because I don't know.
It's been drawing them down for a very long time.
Yeah, it's their heaviest holding, and it went. Remember, it's still their heaviest holding, being 50% down.
Mm-hmm.
So when it was at its high, it was like, yeah,
it would have been double what they're worth now.
Mm-hmm.
So they would have spent. Oh, that was a.
Think about it. Their biggest stake, their second biggest stake, if what I have here is correct, is Carib Cement, which is 138 mil. Access at its peak was almost 300 mil. So it would have been double their second. Well, yeah, almost double. Like it's a. I don't know. I just found it. I guess they're worried that maybe they'd say, "Oh, it's hard for us to sell something like that." But I guess it's really the price you want to sell it at. I don't know. That means really maybe another microfinance company.
Mm-hmm.
So we make assessment from time to time as to where the opportunities will be, and sometimes it takes a year or sometimes more than a year for some of those things to materialize. But we have some excellent junior market stocks in the portfolio, Caribbean producers that I personally believe will be possibly a $40 stock before too long is significantly positioned in the portfolio. We have access that people are not warming to, and they're buying dollar, which is fine, but access is going to come into its own and deliver significant gains for the portfolio. So sometimes it's a matter of time. So we have looked at every 2 weeks, we are looking at the portfolio, looking at what's happening in the market, and from time to time, we add to the portfolio, or we may deduct from the portfolio.
And even like I was saying, like, is access for sale? I know that the larger shareholder is going through like a divorce, and there was, I don't want to get too much into it, but there's actually, a lot of court documents and such are actually public, so you can actually look into that to see what's going on with that. Because what if they divorce and his ex-wife says, hey, half these shares, because he owns like almost half the company or so, like, hey, these shares, I want to sell them to X and X person for this price. It's her shares if she gets them. So and the other thing, QWI also announced a buyback, so I think that's nice. They're gonna buy back shares. I also even think that JamT could even split again. The management of JamT really loves, I said, they see the value in stock splits and such, or they derive value from stock splits. And the sentiment now, I think people are really just, it's just funny, like people literally mention the summer as a joke, like, oh, when is it coming, summer? Like, because of this.
Because they've been saying summer for 2 years now.
Yeah.
It's been a long summer for real.
Mm-hmm. And even some stuff I saw them in the news recently. I found this, when you think about this now with the added, I guess, context about the whole real estate projects, like they're saying QWI wants more US stocks after the Nvidia bounce. Think about that. Like, they could have been buying, what if they'd put that 800 mil or real estate into Nvidia stock,
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's good that they've finally decided that, hey, the real estates were not really so good with it. It works for other people, but it's not really working for us. We can't just keep doing this. We need to focus on manufacturing. So I'm really hoping that they double down on the manufacturing.
Same.
I hope that they give shareholders a benefit. I hope the share price flies. And yeah.
That's a lot of hopium, bro. A lot of hopium. I think I like the direction that they're taking with JamT, though. Even just, let's spin off the investment arm. Let's just spin off the manufacturing arm as well. It makes sense to just have JamT as a holding company and listing the other two. I really do hope they go the route of making Caribbean Dreams a junior market stock, because otherwise I'm not entirely sure what other plans they have in the pipeline to make the offer as attractive or anything like that. And yeah, I mean, I hope there's a benefit for JamT shareholders. Let's just say that, because I don't know, I wasn't really inspired that there would be a benefit when they were talking about it in the past. Like I remember, I know John Jackson was one of the guys that was more vocal about, you know, it being more of a benefit to JamT shareholders than anybody else. But let's see if they will actually, you know, spin it off this year. If not, we have another long summer. But
It's almost summer.
Almost summer.
Almost summer.
Could use some iced tea.
I don't think
Anyways,
it'll, as I said, it'll probably either be, I said maybe, I feel like it'll be next year, 2026.
The market's brutal right now, so you have to come with something good. You really have to come with something good. And if there's a lot of doubt in the offer, there's no significant
think about
harm.
it, like, what if someone is like, hey, what if this is people? I wonder if like people draw the conclusion. Cause I think about it. You said JamT essentially spun off QWI, because JamT used to just be listed by itself, and then they said, hey, we're gonna list our stock portfolio to trade, and as we said, that's down heavily from the IPO price.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, it's down more than 50%. So if what if someone is like, hey, what if this Caribbean Dreams IPO is just like a QWI and my money burn up and kind of stuff, you know?
I know people would say that still.
You don't think so?
Because they're two separate companies, like they're two complete manufacturing versus like a investment fund. Funds already don't really perform well on the JSE. So even right now, QWI's NAV is like $1.25, yet it's trading at 70 odd cents. So it, you know, like I can't see people looking at Caribbean Dreams the exact same way that they look at QWI. Yeah, look at that. Look at that disparity in price and the NAV. Right? But you said it.
That disparity or opportunity?
Yeah, well, it would only be an opportunity if there's a chance for the price to increase, unless they're doing like, you know, something that can do that. You know, yeah, it's quite a big disparity when you look at that. Could be opportunity, I guess we'll see. Guess we'll see.
So you said your final vote is the spin-off will be when?
I think they should do it next year. If they do it this year, they might struggle. But I don't know their plans, so they could come with something very, very nice in the offer, and then I eat my words, which would be fine. That's great, because I want to make money too, you know. But if not, I think they could wait until next year, and they should really consider it being a junior market stock, because otherwise, even if it is a main market stock, you have to justify the reason to not get this tax break. If eventually you are going to junior market, what's another 10 years with a 25% tax break? You get me? Like, you don't have to pay this 25% for 5 years, and then you only pay half of that the next 5 years. Like, there's a real benefit to that. So unless the reason for going to the main market, okay, yes, you want $1 billion, but do you need $1 billion? Right? And can you get the $1 billion in another way? Do you have to make it all come from this, or do you take the 750, you go for 750 or 500, and then find through other means, but a debt, etc.? Because if you're looking at a project for Caribbean Dreams and you say, all right, I see this tea company in the US that we want to purchase that costs $1 billion Jamaican, right? So that's why your target's $1 billion. I'm pretty sure you can get a decent rate on some debt, and it doesn't have to all just be from equity. But then again, only they know those plans. We're just outsiders speculating. And yeah, guys, if you like this kind of speculation, let us know. Tell us what you guys think about JamT in the comments below. Do you think they'll spin off, and by when? When do you think they'll actually do it?
Summer.
Right, in summer.
Summer.
Yeah. But yeah, guys, if you love this episode, subscribe, drop a like. We're trying to get to 5,000 subs by the end of the year. We always have some big goals, some ambitious goals, but let's see. With your guys' help, we'll get there. But another one to watch, right, Preston? Another one to watch. Thank you guys so much for listening. Limitless. Oh.
Peace.